If you've ever found yourself tangled up with a narcissist, I'm willing to bet you've asked yourself, why? Why me? Why did I have to go through all this pain? Well, today, we're going to look at this whole experience from a completely different angle. We're going to reframe it, not as just some random, awful thing that happened to you, but as something with a deep and maybe even divine purpose. I mean, that's the question that keeps you up at night, isn't it? It just doesn't seem to add up. You're someone who values kindness, who searches for truth, and somehow you end up in a world built on the exact opposite, on lies and control. You have to wonder, was this all just a huge cosmic mistake? Just terrible luck? So here's the big shift in thinking we're diving into today. What if it wasn't a curse? What if all that pain, all that confusion was actually a calling, a kind of assignment that you didn't apply for, but one you were absolutely chosen for? Let's really dig into what that means. All right, let's start with this first really powerful idea. Your presence in that narcissist's life was no accident. Think about it this way. You weren't just stranded in a storm, you were intentionally sent into it. And this quote just nails it. You were placed, not misplaced. You were sent. That changes everything, doesn't it? It shifts the whole story from you being a victim of your circumstances to you being an agent with a purpose. Even if you couldn't see that purpose at the time, you were right where you were meant to be for a reason. And here's the thing. You were not sent in empty-handed. You were chosen for this, not because of some weakness, but because of these incredible strengths you already had. Your deep empathy, your absolute devotion to what's real and true, and that powerful spirit of endurance. These are the very qualities that, just by existing, pose a threat to a narcissist's fake world. Your very presence was a disruption to their system. But and this is so important, an assignment is not a life sentence. The mission was never for you to stay stuck there and just suffer forever. It was for a season. It was designed to expose something, to break a pattern, and then for you to get out. Okay, so this next part can be a little tough to swallow. It's this idea of the narcissist acting as a kind of mirror. Now hold on, this is not saying you are anything like them. Not at all. It's about what their behavior shines a light on inside of you. So what is the mirror effect? Basically, their extreme, out-of-control dysfunction acts like a super bright, unflattering spotlight. And it shines directly on the unhealed wounds and the old patterns that maybe we've been carrying around without even realizing it. It forces us to finally look at the things we might have preferred to keep in the dark. And you can see how this plays out, right? Their massive ego, where they basically act like God, it exposes your own people-pleasing tendencies. Their bottomless need for validation, it triggers that deep fear of abandonment you might have. Their entire reality, which is built on lies, it shows you just how much you might have been tying your own identity to what other people think. But here's the real key. This painful reflection, it's not meant to shame you. It's a map. The very things they trigger are the exact signposts telling you, hey, this is where your healing journey needs to start. So all this internal work, this self-discovery, it starts to have a real impact on the outside world. Because you weren't just put there to learn a lesson for yourself. You were there to actually change something. You know, these destructive patterns, especially in families, they thrive on one thing more than anything else: silence. Everyone just keeps quiet. They don't challenge the lies, they don't rock the boat, all to keep this fake sense of peace. But the second you truly see it, the moment you recognize the gaslighting, the manipulation for what it is, your awareness alone becomes this powerful, shattering force. Just seeing the truth is an act of rebellion. And in that moment of clear sight, your role completely flips. You're no longer a piece in their game. You are the one who stops the game. You are the glitch in the matrix, the break in the chain, the one who finally refuses to play along. Of course, let's be real, none of this is easy. It comes with an incredible amount of pain. So let's talk about that. The hardest part of the whole journey. This is about being forged in the fire, not being burned up by it. So think of it like this. First, the pain wakes you up. It forces you to see the illusions you were living in. Then, that very pain shapes you. It gives you a level of empathy for other people's suffering that you could never get from an easy life. That clarity forces you to build boundaries, to finally decide what you will and will not accept. And finally, it builds this incredible resilience that becomes the foundation of your story. And that's where the magic happens. Your struggle stops being just this private wound you carry. It transforms into a testimony, a story of survival, a story of victory, and a story of hope for anyone else who's going through it. But you see, getting out, that's not the finish line. It's actually the starting line for a brand new assignment. Because when you get free in this way, that freedom comes with a calling. So let's redefine the word deliverance. It's not just about escaping something bad. It's more like a graduation. You come out of it with a PhD in manipulation, in control, in human darkness. And now you are uniquely equipped with the wisdom to see it and help others. And this creates a massive identity shift. You're no longer just the victim who got hurt. You are now the overcomer who turned pain into strength. You're not just the one who escaped. You are the witness who can empower others. Your past doesn't define you anymore, but it sure does inform you. And that's the beautiful ripple effect. When you start living from this new identity, when you share the wisdom you fought so hard for, your freedom becomes a kind of beacon. Your story literally becomes a key that can unlock chains for other people who might not even realize they're trapped yet. So we end here. That experience was the fire. The escape was the graduation. And this freedom you have now, it's a mission. The whole focus can now shift from why on earth did this happen to me to, okay, what am I going to do with everything I've learned? Your story is powerful. It matters. The only question left is, how are you going to use it?